welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Game with Hal. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a special guest by the name of Daniel Golub. Daniel is a former college basketball player and now on social media, training and being a basketball coach, inspiring the next generation. You wouldn't want to miss this exciting conversation with Daniel Golub. Wait, let me rephrase that. What was your, let's get it, your moment that you were like, I want to play college basketball?
The moment I realized I wanted to play college basketball was at the beginning of high school. I had a coach my freshman year. He was very intense, and I realized not all the guys were as in it as I was, and they weren't responding to the criticism and the hard coaching that guy was. And I was like, you know what? I think I can handle playing college basketball. I can handle playing professional basketball just because I have a tough skin and I can handle criticism. And I think something that a lot of youth athletes can take away from coaching in today's game. Not all feedback you should take as negative. If coaches say something such as you got to work on this, or you're not good enough, it's not them necessarily saying you're a bad player. It's them saying if you work on this, you could reach your potential. And I kind of just I think what I did well compared to other players was I took information that some people would perceive as negative, and instead of me viewing it as negative, I turned it into positives. And I realized once I was doing that at 14 years old, I could kind of do whatever I wanted in high school, and the sky was the limit in college. So, yeah.
Right, and then doing all this stuff, obviously you got to have a strong work ethic to do all that stuff. How do you keep going and make sure that you're not missing a day and keeping up that strong work ethic?
Yeah, man. Honestly, it's really just about discipline. A lot of people like to talk about motivation and like they're motivated. What I've realized is motivation is more so like a fleeting feeling. Like if you watch a cool video on social media, or if one of your friends kind of like pumps you up or says something to get you quote unquote motivated, you're motivated for maybe a day, maybe a week, but it is a fleeting feeling that eventually goes away. So I learned to kind of discipline myself. So what I did, I wrote down goals, and those goals lasted for days, weeks, months, years, and I stuck to those goals, and I never went away from it. No matter if I was sore, no matter if I was sad, no matter if I wasn't in the mood, I stuck with it. So I would say kind of not thinking of things as being motivated, but just staying disciplined and like following your plan no matter how you feel.
Right, and then playing hoops. What has hoops done for you to keep you in a stable mindset and just kind of be like your free zone to do what you want while playing basketball?
That's a great question. So as you know, I played in college and I played professionally. This is my first year I haven't played basketball. 2024 is my first full calendar year I didn't play basketball. But I was still going to the gym like all the time, working out all the time. So it's really just a zone where I worked hard my whole life. Will I play basketball again? We will see. But if I don't, it's just like always a space I know I can go back to that reminds me of like the hard work that I put in when people weren't willing to put it in. So yeah.
Right, and then obviously while playing basketball, any team sport, you have to have good chemistry and have to bond well with your teammates. How did you guys have a bond off the court so that your bond was just as strong while you were playing?
Well, let me ask you, what do you think? How do you, when you're playing golf with your buddies, or when you're on your play, you said baseball, right?
Yeah.
How do you think you have the good chemistry on the field or whatever? Like how do you think that's built off the court?
I think a lot of it is like a lot of team building stuff, but knowing where people are going to be. I played with the same guys for 4 years now. This will be our 5th year, hopefully playing with each other. And we don't just go to the field and show up and only talk about baseball and only focus on fundamentals. Yes, that's important, but what we like to do is we'll talk about other stuff outside of baseball, what we did during the day, what we want to do, and that just translates on the field so we know where everybody's going to be. If you're going to take this ball, if he's going to take this ball, where to cover, what base, and just stuff like that. It's built by recognizing over so many times, and also like when you're not in the game, you're also paying attention and being in the game and knowing where people are and what to do. And so when it's your turn to be out there, you know what to do and where to be.
Most definitely. I agree with that. I think something that I learned in high school and college, and honestly, I know I played 1 year professionally, so it was my rookie year. But like when I was playing in high school and college, what I really realized while playing basketball was when you hang out with your friends off the court, obviously your chemistry on the court is very important, but you start to get to know them off the court. For example, if you start to get to know how people react to things, if some people, react to things in a positive light, then in the games you can kind of be a little bit harder on them and push them, and they'll take it positive. But if people, I don't know, are a little bit more sensitive, then you have to, like, when you're hanging out with them, let's say you're just going to dinner or whatever, and a friend pokes a joke at somebody, if they take it a little bit sensitive in a game, if they make a mistake, instead of knocking them down, you want to build them up. Like, hey, you got it. Dap them up, next play, and then they'll move on. So you just need to kind of like, I think, read your teammates. Obviously have fun with your teammates when you're hanging out with them. But like, if you're a captain of a team or a leader of a team, kind of like see their emotions, see how they handle certain things, and if they handle, jokes and stuff like that in a positive way, then if you're in the game and they make a mistake, you can kind of, if they make a mistake, you could tell them, like, pick it up in more of a strong tone. And if they take things more sensitive, you can just be like, hey, you got it. Like, don't worry about it. Just bounce back. Next play. So I think it really just is reading your teammates' emotions and just knowing how they handle certain situations.
Right, and it's also off the court too. If you keep bringing up like the error that they made or the air ball or the turnover in the crucial part of the game, that's just going to deflate them, their confidence, not want them to play as well on the court the next play. Just stuff like that. If you know someone doesn't like talking about their last game or when they don't do as well, don't bring it up and like keep their confidence high and maybe remind them of a moment that they did have that was good and stuff like that. Well, also keeping criticism and making sure that they don't make the same mistake twice.
100%. That's what it's all about. Just lifting up your teammates no matter what. And if they're going through a rough time, just know that the team can only succeed if all 5 players on the basketball court, or all 11 guys on the football field, or even all 15 guys on an NBA team. Like, everybody has to be on the same page. So even if one person, if one part of the machine isn't functioning well, then the whole team cannot win and cannot succeed like they want to. So it's just really picking each other up and making sure everybody's in the right headspace.
Exactly. And then you do a lot of stuff with social media, filming. How do you make social media? How do you have that creative sense in your mind to pursue the videos?
Yeah, no, I'm just starting with the social media stuff. I really enjoy it, and it's really just about, like, I coach youth basketball, and I think it's really important to share kind of what I've learned throughout my basketball journey and how the person it's made me and also the player it made me when I was playing. And I just think it's really important to give back. Like, I know a lot about fitness and nutrition, and I think I can really give back to people who did not get that information that I got when I was kind of their age. So I just think it's all about giving back and just helping people reach their full potential.
Right. And then you mentioned something about coaching. How do you make sure you're giving your best coaching out there, giving your best advice, making sure that all the kids that you're coaching were doing stuff that maybe set you back a little bit, but make sure that it gets them to the level that they need to be at?
For sure. I think something that when I was a youth athlete, a lot of coaches, they didn't, I guess, they didn't read players well. So, for example, if there's a youth athlete that, I don't know, he handles things differently than his other friends, you don't want to make it obvious during the practice and like point him out. But like during a drill, instead of just saying like great job to everybody equally, maybe you say good job to the kid who is lower on confidence a couple more times than the other kids. So it's kind of like, the kids won't notice it because, they're maybe 9, 10, 11 years old. But obviously as you get older, you'll notice it. But the younger athletes in elementary school, I think that when you kind of do those subtle point outs and pick them up in subtle ways, like when they're doing drills and stuff, and just clap for them a little bit more, I think that's something that, I didn't get from a ton of coaches when I was younger. And I just think finding ways to pick players up or tell them to pick it up in subtle ways rather than like pointing it out in front of the whole team.
Right. It also like encourages them a little bit more to stay motivated and be more agile in the court, work harder. Because if they see that you're doing that, you appreciate their hard work, they're gonna add more into their hard work and just want to go even farther with that.
Most definitely. And I think something important as a coach is you really have to preach what you practice. And I'm a really big believer in so you have to preach what you practice. When you're teaching kids or you're teaching adults how to do fitness or basketball or whatever it may be, you really need to make sure you know what to do, and also you have to be able to show how to do it. So there has been in previous years when I was a player, some coaches told me to do certain things, but they weren't necessarily able to do it themselves, or they never did it themselves in the past. And there are plenty of good coaches who have never played before, but I do think it's a very big deal as a coach or a mentor or something, to have done it, or to have done what the players have wanted to do. Because hell, let me ask you, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, are you going to ask someone who isn't an entrepreneur how to be a successful entrepreneur? No, you're going to ask somebody who is an entrepreneur, who has a couple of businesses. If you want to be a professional basketball player, are you going to ask a high school coach who didn't ever play basketball? Probably not. And that coach might be a very good coach, but if you want to try to play professional basketball, or if you want to try to play college football or something like that, you want to try to learn from someone who has attained that level of success. And I think it's really important to just practice what you preach, and to kind of be at the level that you want your clients to eventually be at.
Right. And it's not just someone who has played at that level before, it's their lessons that they've learned and them giving back, as you said, and not having the people that they're mentoring or coaching make the same mistake and be even better than they were to bring their game to the next level.
Most definitely, yeah, 100%. And then in the Kawaga Menominee game this summer, you were watching, right?
Yeah.
So like a lot of so in the game, I really made sure. I don't know if you remember, a bunch of the boys, like Huxley was at the free throw line, Jaden was on the court, and like whatever, they weren't knocking shots down. I never once got upset. I never once was like, you got to make more shots. I just high-fived them and said, you got the next one. Don't worry about it. Like, next play, bro. And I think it's just really important picking your teammates up, and just showing them that, whoever the leader, quote unquote leader or captain is on the team, is very important to pick them up. Because when I played in the past, I didn't have teammates that always, picked me up. And I think I learned that picking your teammates up, regardless of whatever happens, is just the best way to go, because you need them mentally in it.
Right. And it's the same thing. If you're usually in youth sports, there's like one or two great players who are probably a little bit better than the rest of the people their age, and they get really frustrated sometimes, especially when it's
Right.
not like a travel team or like a high team at the 10, 11, 12 age, and they're just better. And then they get really mad and really angry when someone makes a mistake that's just they're not at the skill level yet to do that. And it just elevates everybody around you, because at the end of the day, in most sports, you're not going to be able to win or get to where you want to be by just doing it by yourself. Because
Most
one
stuff.
of the best, even in basketball, one of the best stats that they point out is assists. You can't get assists if your teammates don't score
Right.
the ball. So if you're giving out positive energy and making sure that your teammates know that you trusted them, it just brings a whole different life to the team.
Most definitely. And you talk about like assists in basketball, like on the court. Something that I think about a lot is like assists off the court. So, for example, let's say you're a golf player or a tennis player, and it's just a quote unquote solo sport per se, but you have a trainer in the off season for golf or tennis. You have a nutritionist if you're a professional golf or tennis player. You have all these people who play a role into your individual sport. So, it really, nothing in this world anyone can really achieve as an individual. You need people to always help you. Obviously, the golf players and the tennis players are the focal point, but if you have these people surrounding you, the private chef, the personal trainer, even just the parents or guardians that support you in your journey, I think everyone plays a part into that. So I think, like you were saying, assists on the court, assists off the court from your parents, your guardians, your friends, your trainers, your nutritionists. I think all those play into whether you're in a group sport or an individual sport.
Right. And that goes back to real life entrepreneur. You're going to need people to buy from your business and support
Exactly.
you. You're going to need an investor to pitch in to maybe start it. It's just you can't start it by yourself. And there's a lot of other parts that come into this.
Most definitely. As you're growing and as you get bigger or as you get better at certain things, the more help you're going to need from more people, and that's why you just. But again, like that's why in games you want to pick your teammates up. You never want to put them down, because your teammates one day they could be people who you work with, and then you want to have good friendships with them and good relationships with them. And you don't want to ruin that during your playing days. So that's why it's just really important. Always treat people with kindness. Always pick them up. And yeah, just have overall positive attitude in sports.
Right. And it's also like having good bonds with not even people who are on your team, but maybe if there's a supporter who comes to every game and it's one of
Right.
your friend, it's your teammate's brother, and you just
Yeah.
say hi to him after every game and say like thanks for coming or whatever, that could be a relationship. That's just like never being like a douche to anybody too. Like if you're in the stands talking to someone, it's not yelling at the players, and especially with
Exactly.
coaching and youth sports, it's a lot like the parents get really mad at coaches for not putting their kids in. But it's like you got to make like a decision there and not break any bad bonds and come off as like a bad person to anybody,
Yeah,
because that you don't know when that could affect you,
for sure. You're 100% right about that, bro. 100%
right?
right.
And then you're working with these little kids playing basketball, and then personal training, all the different stuff. How do you change to adapt to your audience that you're targeting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do a bunch of basketball with kids as young as 6 years old and as old as really 17 in high school. So I have a big range of basketball players, and then I do fitness training with a lot of adults 30 to 50 years old in the area. And yeah, it's really just, building relationships, like really listening to what they say and hearing them out. Because I think every single person, every single person, every single player, every single person who I do fitness training with, they're all different and they all have different needs. They all work hard on different key words. So I like to use like keywords a lot. Like sometimes I say like, all right, like we could take a break and we'll start up in 5 seconds. And other people I know, like if I say, all right, like keep pushing, then they'll do it. So it's kind of just like understanding clients. What has made me what has made me do well in basketball training and fitness training is understanding my clients on a deeper level and not just coaching or training them to get the hour and a half done. I think when I understand them on a deeper level, make personal connections with them, see what makes them work hard, then I think they'll be more successful.
Exactly. And that's just like being good teammates with everybody, and again, knowing everybody's story. I mean,
Yeah,
you're going to spend the time with them no matter what. Why not have an interesting conversation with them or dig a little deeper? And then that just brings in a more fun time instead of being like, can we get this done with? It brings like a sense of belonging and wanting to be there.
I agree. Most definitely.
Yeah, another thing with that is working with all ages. You said keywords, working with everybody, and just understanding everybody on a deeper level. How do you make sure you understand everybody and not get players or people who you're working with like too oversensitive with what they're doing? Because a lot of stuff in basketball as a young kid and in fitness, different levels is in there. And how do you make sure you're not singling someone out who might be a little weaker in an aspect of fitness or basketball?
That's a great question. I think really it's more so like something that I've learned while coaching basketball and while training people in fitness is just kind of like recognizing if you have a group and there are some people at a level up here and there are some people at a level down here, you don't want to necessarily single them out. But before you do the drill or the lesson per se, you could give modifications. So, like, for example, you don't like point anyone out, but you could say, all right, I want you to do X, Y, Z. But if you can't do X, Y, Z, just do Y and Z. And then basically, I'm like, it doesn't matter how much you do or how well you can do it. You just need to do it to the best of your ability. And if you do it to the best of your ability, you'll get better because it's you versus you at the end of the day, and it's not really you versus anyone else. So if you just understand that it's you versus you and that you're just trying to get better today, not compared to your friends or your teammates, then you'll get better at the end of the day.
All right. To end it off here, we got the final 14 questions in a rapid fire pace.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. Who is your idol?
My parents.
Favorite fast food?
Do you know I'm healthy? Sweet green.
Biggest fear?
Spiders.
Favorite school subject?
Reading.
Favorite
English.
hobby?
Working out.
Favorite gym workout?
Sprinting or playing basketball.
Favorite influencer?
Hell.
Favorite artist?
I like Drake.
Favorite animal?
Lion.
Favorite TV show?
SpongeBob. Go to.
Biggest pet peeve?
Mm. Come back to me. Last question.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, hot dog is not a sandwich.
Favorite emoji?
Fire emoji.
Are you a shower singer?
I am definitely a shower singer after I have a good workout. If I don't have a good workout, I'm not. No.
And then biggest pet peeve.
Biggest pet peeve is when somebody's at a workout and they're not going hard, because if you're at the gym, you might as well get a good workout.
Right. All right.
Always needed, like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby, don't stop